Hello everyone, hi, how are you guys doing? In my WhatsApp group and in my YouTube community, I see that there are some questions which come up again and again, kind of repetitive questions which are coming up again and again in some form or shape, which indicates that there is a lot of confusion out there related to the Alberta immigration programs. So I concentrate mostly on the Alberta immigration program because that is what I have some experience in. So in this video, what I'm trying to do is walk you through some of the scenarios and and kind of create an explainer video where through those repetitive questions let's have a discussion, and I hope that it will give more clarity to you, to whoever is watching this video. So I hope you find this useful. So let's go through some of those common questions that I have seen or that might be in your mind also. So some questions related to IIP, AAIP is like, how many programs Alberta immigration have, right? This is one question that comes up again and again. There are many people who post questions that that I want to apply, right? But which program should I choose, right? Or how many programs are out there? So we have to understand AAIP doesn't have a single program. It has multiple programs. Okay, so we have to understand that. Next important question that comes up in the mind is, which program is applicable for me? So as a candidate, which program is applicable for an individual? Now this depends on a lot of factors which I will also cover in this video. So again, another important question or another common confusion out there is, which program can I apply for, right? So even though that there are multiple programs in Alberta immigration, can I apply to all of them or any of them, right? Or even whether those programs accept application, or those are kind of driven by Alberta and cannot be driven by the workers. So this is also what a clarity that we would need, and we will discuss in this further in this video. And then the last question, which program suits me the best? So once you understand how many programs are there, what are their different criterias, another the top questions that comes up in the mind at that point of time is, which program suits me? I now know that there are 4 programs, but which program suits me? I don't know, right? So these are the 4 questions that we will cover in this particular video. So what I will basically do is I will take you through some of the scenarios, okay, and through those scenarios provide some clarity. So what we will see is that these scenarios are nothing but your real life examples, okay. Obviously I cannot cover the whole gamut of a real life example, but from my experience and my discussions with multiple people, I have created some kind of a flow chart. Okay, I have a flow chart which I will walk you through, and then I hope that that particular flow chart helps you in understanding different aspects of the AAIP programs. Okay, so this is what I will try and cover in this particular video. Okay, now let's go. From my experience in all the discussions that I've had, even I also got my PR through Alberta immigration. In my experience, what are the key factors that kinds of drives your scenarios, or which can decide between one program and another? Okay, so the first question that you as a candidate, okay, as a candidate you have to ask yourself these 3 questions. whether I have a Alberta based job offer or not. Again, there is no right or wrong answer for this. So each of these answers could be a yes or a no. Okay, so depending on how you score on these three questions, you can decide which program suits you the best. Okay, so the flowchart that I was talking about will walk you through these three questions, and then you will see how you as a candidate, if you have these three factors working for you, how that works for you. Okay, so let's go into that. Okay, first things first that I wanted to cover is that let's have a discussion on the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program. So very quickly, for anybody who is new, Alberta Immigration Program runs the PNP program for Alberta. Okay, and this PNP program has two different streams, one stream for worker and another stream for entrepreneurs. Okay, I I will cover the worker stream and not the entrepreneur stream, because honestly I don't have idea on the entrepreneur scheme, and most of the people who are trying to immigrate to Alberta have more interest towards the worker stream. Okay, so in the flowchart that I will bring up now, what you will see, so let's start. So as a candidate, again very important, as a candidate you have to ask yourself this question, whether you have a job offer or not. So let's walk through both the positive and the negative scenario. So again, each of these boxes can go in two direction, either a yes or a no, and then the next step again can go into multiple directions of yes or no. Okay, so let's go through this. Whether you have a job offer or not. Let's say you have a job offer. So the next question you would ask yourself is that job offer, is that Alberta based job offer? Again, the first question is, do you have an Alberta based job offer? Okay, not just a job offer in Canada or any job offer for that matter. You should have, if you have a Alberta based job offer, then go to the next step. Next question. Next question is this Alberta based job offer from a rural community in Alberta? And if it is from a rural community in Alberta, is this job offer endorsed by that rural community? Okay, so this is again dual conditions here. So it's possible that you satisfy both of these conditions or you satisfy none of those conditions. Okay, so again here the next step is, say you satisfy both of these conditions. So then what happens is, if you follow this particular path, what happens is you would see that, or you would find that you are eligible for something called the rural renewal scheme. Now I have put two asterisks here, which means that just having these two conditions is not or may not be enough for the rural renewal scheme. So that's what I am saying here, that conditions apply. There are multiple conditions under each of the programs that I will cover, but this, in my opinion, in my experience, are the most important factors. Other factors you may control or you may not be able to control, but these are kind of absolutely non-negotiable kind of conditions. Okay, so please be aware, this is not the whole eligibility criteria check. I'm just trying to walk you through different scenarios which can help you in deciding which scheme or which path is suitable for you. Okay, so this is only a guide. I'm just trying to show you different scenarios and trying to explain you which stream will suit you. Okay, let's go back. So if you have an Alberta based job offer and that job offer is from a rural community and is endorsed by the rural community's EDO, which is Economic Development Office, then you could be eligible for something called a rural renewal scheme. Okay, so rural renewal scheme is a scheme that is running for workers in Alberta, for people who already have a job offer from a rural community and which can contribute to the growth of that particular rural community. I have a detailed video on this particular thing which I will link here, and you can have a look at that. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's keep going. What happens if I have a job offer but I fail any of these two conditions? What happens then? Let's go. So say for example you fail one of those conditions, that it's not from a rural community, that you have a job offer in Alberta but it's for somewhere else in Alberta. Okay, that can very well happen, right? Not everybody will get a job offer in a rural community. So it's not. Then what happens? Then comes the next important question that you have to ask yourself. Where are you located? Are you already in Alberta? And if you're already in Alberta, how long have you been working in Alberta? So this path is from here to here, from having an Alberta job offer and then asking yourself whether you're already in Alberta. Now it's possible for you that you may be staying, say, somewhere in Canada and you have an Alberta job offer. So then this condition might not work for you, that you are not already in Alberta. This happened for me. I was living in Ontario and I got a job offer in Alberta. So this condition didn't work for me, but it might work for you. So again, that is what I was trying to explain earlier, that each individual would have its own scenarios, and then this flowchart basically walks you through those high level scenarios and then try and just explain you which stream suits you the best. Okay, so then if your job offer is not from a rural community, again I'm repeating myself, then ask yourself whether you are already in Alberta or not. And if you're already in Alberta, just check how long you have been in Alberta. Based on the answers of these two questions, based on your response to these two questions, you may be, if both of these conditions are true, then you may be eligible for something called the Alberta Opportunity Scheme, popularly called as AOS. Alberta Opportunity Scheme is basically for those people who are already working in Alberta and who are already living in Alberta. So there is a condition of working and living in Alberta, and then kind of period that you have spent in Alberta. Again, I cannot emphasize it enough. This is not the end all and be all of the eligibility criteria. Okay, there are again here conditions apply. There are many other conditions applicable to the Alberta Opportunity Scheme. You will have to understand, you have to go through the individual details. But if you are somebody who is already working in Alberta and with a job offer, it's very well possible that you could be eligible for an Alberta Opportunity Scheme. Now, let me step back a bit and explain you one more thing. For example, you are in the first path. You have a job offer in Alberta and it is from a rural community in Alberta, obviously. But for some condition, the second condition is not satisfied. This job offer is not endorsed by the community, right? Then, since you're already in Alberta, you could be eligible for Alberta Opportunity Scheme, right? So you satisfy this condition and then you satisfy the Alberta Opportunity Scheme. Again, another scenario where you satisfy both of these conditions, right? So in this case, what happens, since you satisfy both of these conditions, there is a very high chance that you satisfy these conditions also, right? So in that case, that candidate might be applicable both for rural renewal scheme and Alberta Opportunity Scheme. So understand this. So it's quite possible that you as a candidate might be applicable for 1, 2 or 3 schemes for that matter, right? So this is just a bare minimum kind of what we call in flowchart terming as the critical path, right? So these are some of the critical paths that I am taking you through, but for you as a candidate, it can lead to multiple paths, right? So for somebody who is already in Alberta working for a couple of years, say in a rural community, he can apply under rural renewal scheme, Alberta opportunity scheme, provided he is able to satisfy the other conditions in each of these schemes, right? So when you look into each of these schemes, there are certain more conditions within those schemes which you might find suitable for you, but then you would know that out of these 4 schemes, these are the 2 schemes that are applicable to me, right? So that is the purpose of my video today, that I'm just trying to explain to you what could be applicable to you. Okay, now let's go back to the flowchart. If you satisfy these 2 conditions of living in Alberta and your length of stay in Alberta, you could be eligible for Alberta opportunity scheme. But say you fail both or one of these conditions. Say you just arrived in Alberta, so you are satisfying you're already in Alberta condition, but you are not satisfying the length of stay in Alberta. It's possible, or your experience in Alberta. Okay. So then if you fail one of these conditions, does that mean it's the end of the world? No. So let's say you fail these conditions. So we come back, go the no path now. Then you have to ask yourself question, do you have an express entry profile? Express entry profile is a profile which is run by the Ircc. This is the main profile. This is the main profile that we create if we want to immigrate to Canada as a foreign worker. So if I am sure if you are viewing this video, you already know what an express entry profile is. So ask yourself, if you kind of fail these 2 conditions, right? If you fail these 2 conditions, ask yourself if you already have an express entry profile, which also means that express entry profile is also not mandatory, right? If you satisfy one of these conditions and qualify under one of these schemes, you might do without a express entry profile. But express entry is one of the popular way of immigrating to Canada. So if you fail these 2 conditions, ask yourself whether you have an express entry profile. Okay. Again, like any decision box, this can go yes or no way. Let's say you don't have an express entry profile, then what happens? This is for the first time. On the right side, we are going through a negative path. So I am saying, no, I don't have an express entry profile. So I have a job offer in Alberta, which is not from a rural community, and I don't satisfy the residency or the domicile condition for Alberta, and I don't have an express entry profile. What happens to me? I have a job offer though, right? But I don't satisfy any of these conditions. Then what happens? Then this is one of the rare scenarios where there is a end path, which I say not eligible. But again, if you see here, I say conditions apply. Why I say this? This not eligible is kind of a wake up call for you. So if for any reason you are working in Alberta, or you have an Alberta job offer, for some reason you don't satisfy these conditions, then this path will kind of nudge you towards creation of an express entry profile. So this no, you can very well turn this no to yes by creating an express entry profile. Okay, so if you don't have an express entry profile, please create an express entry profile. I cannot stress enough on why not to create this express entry profile. There are certain expenses you have to bear for creation of express entry profile, like your ECA, like your education evaluation and your language assessment test, but those you have to do in any of these schemes also. Okay, so don't think that not creating an express entry profile is kind of a shortcut in any way. Okay, millions of people use this way to migrate. So if you for any reason you don't satisfy these 2 boxes, if you see yourself coming down this path even after having a job offer, please create an express entry profile. I cannot stress it more enough. So even if you are not eligible, this is kind of a wake up call. Come back and create an express entry profile, and then you will go down the yes path for that matter. So from having a job offer, not satisfying these 2 conditions, go and create an express entry profile. Right? If you don't fall under rural renewal scheme and Alberta opportunity scheme, go and create an express entry profile. What this does is this creation of these express entry profiles opens additional doors for you. Okay, like what? Like, say you said you have an express entry profile now ask yourself this final questions. Do you meet the tech pathway condition? What is tech pathway? If you are watching this video, there is a very high chance you already know what is Alberta tech pathway. So there are certain conditions in Alberta tech pathway. Tech pathway is a recent pathway that Alberta immigration has created for benefits of those people in a tech job. What is a tech job? I'll just explain in a bit. But these tech pathway has a host of conditions. So check whether you satisfy all of these conditions. This is not any, this is all. You need to satisfy these all conditions, like your express entry profile should have a score of more than 300. Express entry profile should not be more than 9 months old, means your expiry, you should have more than 3 months of expiry. Like if your profile is expiring in say 6 months, you are okay, but if your profile is expiring in say 2 months, you have to create a new profile. Okay, your express entry profile should qualify you under one of these federal streams, which is Canadian Experience Class, Foreign Skilled Worker and Foreign Skilled Trades Program. You should be qualified under one of these programs in your express entry profile. You should have an Alberta based job offer, and that is the reason we are coming down this path. Our starting point is I have an Alberta based job offer, but again, as in any of these schemes, job offer is just one of those conditions, but a very important condition for that matter. Next, with that job offer, you need to check the NOC and the NAICS condition. What is NOC? NOC is your job occupation classification. Basically, what kind of work you are doing is indicated by NOC, and NAICS is a industry classification, which basically denotes what kind of work your company is doing or what kind of industry your company belongs to. I have detailed videos on the tech pathway eligibility, so go through that video and you will understand how to answer the questions in this particular box. So after creation of express entry profile, come here, go through this tech pathway conditions video, and then ask yourself that whether you meet these conditions or not. Okay, say you meet these conditions, then you are eligible for something called the Alberta tech pathway. Okay, so you started from a job offer, didn't meet these two conditions. After creation of an express entry profile and after meeting the tech pathway conditions, you would qualify for something called Alberta tech pathway. So the moral of the story till now is that even though these two doors are closed for you, this Alberta tech pathway door is still open. Okay, now comes the last part, is if I don't meet these conditions, then what? Then that's the end of the story. Say you don't meet any conditions, so you have a job offer in Alberta, but you don't meet the rural renewal scheme conditions, you don't meet the Alberta opportunity scheme conditions, and unfortunately you don't even meet the tech pathway conditions. What happens then? If you don't meet any of these conditions, you are going down a path of all no's. Then what happens? Even then I would say the door is not closed for you, and you are eligible for something called the Alberta General Express Entry. Alberta General Express Entry is basically where Alberta picks up your profile from the express entry pool based on your NOC. So NOC, as I told you, means your the kind of job that you are doing, the kind of work you are doing. If for any reason you don't qualify for tech pathway, there is still a chance based on demand from Alberta or demand from Alberta businesses that Alberta might pick up your profile itself from the Alberta General Express Entry. Okay, so these two paths open up just by creation of express entry profile, and If you are somebody who is satisfying these two conditions also, then for you I think four paths are open, right? So for example, I have a job offer, I'm working in a rural community in Alberta already for say couple of years. So I might be so for me rural renewal scheme is open, Alberta opportunity scheme is open. Say I'm working in a rural community in a tech job, right? So my tech pathway scheme is also open, and obviously general express entry is always open because I have an express entry profile. So you see that based on these certain conditions, one person can have multiple doors open, but you can only use one out of all these conditions. Okay, you cannot apply under all of these conditions. Be very clear about that. Even though you might be eligible for different schemes, you can only apply under one scheme. Okay, so understand, so this is a very important understanding that everybody who is looking for Alberta PNP has to understand. Okay, and again, as I was saying, conditions apply. Each of these streams have multiple other conditions apart from the very important job offer condition. So once you go into if you are interested in any particular scheme, go through the finer nuances, and then you can probably filter down on out of these four schemes which scheme suits me the best, right? But I would say start your journey by answering these few questions, because say for example rural renewal scheme has a, I'm just saying for example, has a lower language assessment requirement of say 5, right? And the federal is 7, right? So if you see that, okay, I qualify, I have the adequate English knowledge test, but then that's not that important because you don't have a job offer, right? So even though you meet some of the other conditions, you might not meet the most important condition of having a job offer. So that is why in this I have kind of prioritized these conditions. I have prioritized as per my experience. The other conditions, your language, your education, those things could still be under your control, right? But having a job offer is what I have seen most people struggling with. So start your PNP journey by asking yourself this important question of the job offer. Now at this stage I took you through a path where you have a job offer. What happens to those mortals who don't have a job offer? So you can't go down this path and check your eligibility under 4 schemes, right? So what happens if you are a mere mortal without a job offer? Then do you just end up not eligible? I would say no. Then you come straight to the, obviously if you don't have a job offer, you don't qualify for rural renewal scheme or Alberta opportunity scheme, but you can always give it a try using the express entry profile. So create an express entry profile if you don't have an Alberta job offer. There are many people who get Alberta PNP without landing a foot in Alberta, right? How do they do that? They do it through express entry profile. So take that, create your express entry profile, and then obviously you won't go down this path. You go down this path and you will fail this condition too, because you don't have a job offer, and job offer is a condition in the tech pathway. So you would fail this condition too, but then there still is a hope through Alberta General Express Entry, right? So even if you don't have a job offer, it can lead you through to Alberta PNP through the Alberta General Express Entry. Okay, so don't lose hope. This is what I would try to say. Understand your scenarios, understand where you stand, ask yourself these 3 important questions about your job offer, your location, and your express entry profile, and you would see that each one of us could be applicable to at least one of these schemes even though we don't have a job offer. So that's the beauty of Alberta immigration that I am looking at is that it gives everybody a fair chance. So for example, you are working in a NOC which is very high in demand in Alberta, but you don't have a job offer. So Alberta can still give you a nomination or ask you to submit your documents for nomination or something called a NOI, notification of interest. They can still give you that notification of interest, say, hey, I looked at your profile, express entry profile, it looks like you are interested in moving to Alberta, and it looks like you have a job that there might be in demand in Alberta, so why don't you submit the document and let us have a look, right? So that is how the pathways go. So in summary, I think the first question that I started this presentation with, how many paths that Alberta have? So the sweet answer for it is it has 4 streams for the workers. As a worker, you have 4 different options. You can qualify for one. Your door can be open for 4, but you can only apply to 1 out of 4. Okay. So this is very important. I don't want to confuse people, say I can apply under 4 schemes and my chances would increase. No, you can only apply to one of these schemes. Okay. So that's it. I know this been a bit longer video than usual, and I wanted to concentrate on this presentation. I will share this particular flowchart as the thumbnail of this particular video. So I hope you guys would find it useful, and I will share this as PDF on my WhatsApp also. So if you are already on my WhatsApp group, you will see that. I will share this in the documents folder of my YouTube channel. So I have some formats of letters and documents there. You can check it out there. And till the next time, I will take a break here, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much.